Let the word go
The
forth.
challenge, the opportunity to connect. The 1960s, a time of imagination and change, a time of anger and fear. The 1960s, a pioneering program called Challenge.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
That looked at our connections, our divisions, through the lens of shared values.
For something real.
60 years later, we examine our divisions, our connections, our shared pains and successes in a new program called Challenge 2.0. The birth of a child can be a source of light, of joy, and of promise. Those were the gifts of Reese Widman. When his parents welcomed him into the world on March 27th of 2005, they were astonished at his happy, lighthearted demeanor. Mom Kelly and Dad Corey felt blessed. Guiding his growth was relatively free of challenges. Quickly overcoming early shyness, Reese enjoyed entertaining, and he enjoyed time with family.
Weekend, baby, I'm about to have me some fun.
Me! I won!
Dad, no, you didn't.
I won! I beat Reese!
He relished challenges, especially physical ones. And if a sport involved a ball, well, it attracted Reese. An attraction that endured and strengthened with each passing year, as did his athletic talent. The depth of his talent was matched by a depth of character, compassion, built on a foundation of deep faith. Reese was named captain of the Steilacoom High School baseball team. Teammates knew they could count on him, on and off the field.
I've known him since I was 5. He was on my first ever official baseball team when I was younger, and he was the first person I ever played catch with.
I remember knowing Reese at Cherrydale, which is kindergarten through 3rd grade, but really getting to know Reese was in middle school playing basketball with him.
And I think we became a lot closer friends the summer of my 8th grade year and the fall of my freshman year through fall ball. I got to play with the varsity guys a lot, and he was always great about including me and kind of taking me under his wing.
When anybody was mad or anybody was like sad or anything, he could always make them laugh and giggle. It was the best quality I think he has.
Reese seemed to play on a field of dreams, but in 2021, a health crisis, and the dreams went dark. Well, we're sitting here this morning with Corey and Kelly Widman, who are the parents of Reese, who we just featured in the video. Corey and Kelly, thank you so much for meeting with us and talking with us and sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Certainly 20 years ago, even 2 years ago, you probably had no inkling that you'd be part of a conversation of this sort. It's said that the experience of losing a child is probably the hardest experience anybody could have. If you'd feel comfortable sharing, was there a given emotion? Was there a range of emotions that you went through, both in the immediate aftermath and since then?
Oh, I think
range of emotions.
Definitely range. I think shock,
confusion.
And just, I mean, I think shock would be the initial for sure. And just, this can't be real. This cannot be real. And I remember saying over and over again in the first probably month, how can this be? How can this be?
Right.
And then just overwhelming sadness, which comes in waves, and just would, I think I would compartmentalize my grief for me, and then all of a sudden the realization of my baby's gone hits me, and sometimes knocks me flat on my face. Sometimes I'm able to recover a little bit faster. But I think the sadness, some anger for me, but not too much anger. Just I knew I needed to help people. I'm definite concern for our community, the kids left behind. Reese's brother Rob, like we worry about him, and his cousins, like all the people, all the family and friends. Definite worry for them too. But like for me personally, it's just been sadness and trying to kind of compartmentalize that.
Corey, how about you?
so for me, a lot of guilt, a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I mean, I'm, like Kelly said, the waves of grief get you, and they sneak up on you, and when they hit you, it's hard, and it's a lonely place, being in this.
Loneliest place you'd ever been? Did you find that you experienced grief, the same sort of grief, simultaneously, or did you find that you were having different experiences at different times?
I think different. I think Corey, like he said, he carries a lot of guilt. I have guilt too. Like, I feel bad that I missed the signs that Reese gave. But I know I did the best I could with what I had in those moments. And I don't think I would have changed anything if I didn't know what I knew today. Hindsight, of course, is 20/20. So my mantra has been, I did the best I could with what I had. I tell Corey the same thing. Like, there's nothing he did that was wrong, and that he did the best he could with what he had. And where he has put blame on himself, he doesn't put blame on me, but he puts blame on himself. And I tell him all the time that he did the best he could. And
yeah, I know she says that. I just, as the father, man of the house, head of the house, whatever you want to say, I mean, Reese and I were around each other a lot, and that's where I won't forgive myself, because I don't feel like I should have done a better job. Could have done, but at the time,
we just didn't
know.
know.
You didn't know, but now you have all these. Oh, that should have been a red flag, or that was a red flag, and then you think about it, and then it's just it beats you up. It really does. I mean, because I've always been a big, well, what if I had done this?
Right.
Or even growing up, if I had just done this or that, things would be different. And now I'm 49 years old, and my son's gone, and
you're having to take it from there. There are studies in preparing for this. I've read some different studies and writings on it, and it shows that being a suicide survivor is very difficult on an individual basis, but it's also devastating on a relationship. And I think one statistic showed a majority of marriages end after they lose a child. Obviously, that hasn't happened. What do you think enabled you to come together, to support each other, and avoid that? And then I'd also ask, what advice would you have for other parents that unfortunately will find themselves in a similar spot?
Well, I mean, Kelly and I have always been pretty resilient in our relationship. I mean, we've had ups and downs, and I know a lot of people have had ups and downs, but she's done a good job of showing me grace through the years, and I mean, and honestly, it's everybody's relationship is unique, and ours is good. It's there's nobody I'd rather be doing this with. I mean, I don't want to be doing this, but one of the things that Reese had left us, he left us you're not allowed to leave each other. No divorces, love each other.
Yeah.
And I think that just having patience with each other, like, there's days that Corey's having a very hard day, and I'm just there for him. And when I'm having a bad day, he's there for me. And it's giving that grace and that time and space to mourn and grieve, and just to support each other, and to have patience, because I might be having a good day, and then I think, oh, we're gonna have a good day today, and then Corey's having a rough day, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna scale that back a little bit, and we're just gonna be together and and take it 1 minute at a time.
You hear things that it'll get easier over time, right? And I mean, I wake up every morning and go to bed every night with a heartache, and this is going to be with us, you know, until it's our time,
Right.
you know, and I think I've maybe gotten a little better at carrying it, but you know, you throw a smile on, and I mean, you're not really smiling. Your heart's breaking, and you know, but yeah, just being understanding, because she's going through the same thing that I'm going through. It's just, you know, I mean, like the other day we went and got dinner, and you know, on the way home from dinner, you know, she's tearing up, and I didn't say anything, just let her go, and you
There's
know.
little reminders that just suddenly bring back
Yeah.
something like that.
And I mean, you know, gosh, 17 years and 10 months. This is Reese's neighborhood, you know, Stillicum, Lakewood. I mean, so everywhere you go, there's reminders of him.
To whatever extent you feel comfortable, could you piece together for us the timeline of what led to Reese's death?
Yes. So, back in 2020, February of 2020, Reese was diagnosed with epilepsy. Before that, healthy, happy, super just outgoing kid. And he still was an outgoing kid. Still, I mean, that didn't stop him. Like, he still had all of his friends, still liked to entertain the crowd, still really excelled with baseball. But with that diagnosis, he took medication to control his seizures. Now, he had only had a few seizures, and they were myoclonic seizures, which is just like jerking of his arms, and nothing where he lost consciousness or anything like that. But it was a risk for him to have a grand mal seizure. So he started on that medication. The first medication he was on had side effects, and we were told of the most common side effect is weight gain, but also this medication had a side effect of feeling hopeless, suicidal ideations, abnormal thoughts. And the neurologist was very good and informed us. He started on that medication. He did have some weight gain, but seemed to do okay with his mood. Didn't seem too bad. I mean, he was frustrated with the weight gain, but he didn't seem like that altered his mood at all. But then a year later, so in February of 2021, he had a rare side effect from the Depakote that he was taking, which was pancreatitis. So with that, he ended up having to wean off of the Depakote, and then he started zonisamide, which is the medication that he had been on until he passed. With that medication, also has the same side effects of hopelessness, suicidal ideations, abnormal thoughts. And he started off okay on that. He did, we got him to a therapeutic dose. And then in a subsequent blood draw, they said he's not therapeutic any longer. We need to increase his dose. Looking back, we see that he was a little more moody, but acting like what we saw at the time, a normal teenager. Like just that kind of a little bit withdrawn, but still going out with his friends. Didn't want to hear what mom and dad had to say about all the opinions that we had of things.
That tends to go with 16 and 17-year-olds.
Exactly, yes. So we just kind of like, okay, you know, he's doing his thing, and that was just occasionally in the summer of 22. So then because he was on it for a full year, and then they started increasing the dose in the spring of 22. And then, so summertime, we kind of noticed that moodiness, and then didn't really think anything of it. I didn't even tell his neurologist about it because it was so subtle. And then in November, he really kind of withdrawn from it.
And Jeff, that was probably one of the looking back on it signs that we should have caught, because Reese and I were around each other all the time, and and yeah, I was his dad, but we were almost like brothers in a way. And but Kelly was Reese's person, and he
told me everything.
told her everything, asked her. I mean, just the comfort level was there. I mean, they're, you know, very, very good relationship. And when he stopped talking to her in November, that probably should have been more of a little bit of a, well, something's going wrong, rather than the just, I'm going to figure it out myself.
And we did offer him to go to see a counselor at that point. And I said, you know, if you don't want to talk to me, you know, a counselor would be great. You know, I really encourage you. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I said, I really insist. And he said, no. What are you going to do? How are you going to make me? Like, just very stubborn like he could be. And I said, well, you're right. I can't make you. So, you know, we just checked in as much as we could and, you know, asked him, how are you doing? How was your day? And he became more short and with his answers. It was, you know, I'm fine, good. That was it. Then in December, he was at practice at a camp for New Level, and he injured his shoulder. And it really kind of frustrated him. Christmas, he acted normal. On New Year's Eve, he went over to his friend's house, had a sleepover, just acted completely normal with his friends. He was going to basketball games. And then the week of, I will say it was January 5th, he asked me, he said, can you buy a movie ticket for me? I want to go to the movies with my friends. So I said, yeah, just sure. And he was acting normal. He was happy. He was laughing. He played video games with Corey.
Like, yeah, it was regular Reese. There was no.
It just seems so normal. And I remember letting my guard down, thinking, he's doing better. Like he's healing. He's healing. He's doing okay. And so then the next, so that was a Thursday, and then on Friday, same thing. He was doing fine. Corey and I were going to a holiday party. And we even had plans, like if I had to go by myself because it was for my work, he would stay home and just in case Reese needed anything. But Reese was going to the movies and we had it all planned out. So we went off to the holiday party and Reese went to the movies. And I always tracked him on his phone. Like I would always keep a tab on where he was. And he always called me a helicopter mom, like always.
A lot of parents are probably guilty of that.
Yes. Right. And so I was tracking him and he was still in the Lakewood Town Center parking lot. And I said, are you still with your friends? Because I thought, this is strange that he's still there. It was like 1 o'clock or so, maybe a little bit before. And he said, he didn't respond to my text. So then I called him and he said, I'm coming home. I'll be home soon.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So then I tracked him and he wasn't going the normal route home. So I thought, well, that's strange. Maybe he's just blowing off some steam, listening to music, something I totally did when I was his age. And then next thing I know, we got this very long text telling us that he has been struggling for a year, and that he had been planning his suicide, and that he was saying goodbye. He left us instructions of where he left things for us, like where he left notes, where he left his cash and his debit card. He left everything in his bedside table for us to find after the fact. And so immediately I called him. He didn't answer. I texted him. I told Corey, get up, all of this simultaneously. And then we jumped in the car and got to where his phone was being tracked to, and came across the accident scene where, so we were first responders.
You were first there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yes.
That had to be unimaginably horrible.
Yeah, so we, Corey got into the car and started trying to save him, and I called 911. And it took a while. It was 17 minutes I was on the phone with 911, just because I don't think I was clear with our location because we were on such a remote road. When they got there, I had switched out Corey to try chest compressions, and because he had done it for so long, like he was getting tired.
Yeah.
So then I switched in, and then they came over and took over for me, and they told us that he was already gone. And We did find out from the medical examiner that he was gone immediately, so he didn't suffer. And that was really important for me to find out. That's one of my priorities, to find out.
It's weird that was a peace of mind piece, you know. And when we got there, Jeff, I mean, I was the first one into the car, and he looked like he was just sleeping. He looked so peaceful.
Yeah. You don't erase something like that.
No.
If I could, can I ask, did you start having some counseling to be able to deal with that very, very harsh
So we've seen
situation?
a marriage counselor for over a decade, and so we have been seeing him still.
But obviously the frequency picked up, you know, with that. Yeah. So we see somebody weekly.
I imagine there were, in the wake of all of that, there were invited, perhaps, encounters, there were uninvited encounters with other people. Perhaps if other people find themselves in that role of wanting to say something, what is not helpful, and what did you find was reassuring or comforting?
What we noticed after this is how loved Reese was, an impact that he had on a lot of people. I mean, less than 48 hours after he passed, there's 500 people at a candlelight vigil. And then a couple weeks later, it's standing room only for his funeral service. And then we have his celebration of life at Pierce College, and there was 1,100 people that showed up for that. The love and support that we've been shown has been tremendous and great. And one of the things that I think most people worry about is contagion or copycat incidents after this. I think this has had the opposite effect. I think because Reese was so loving, charismatic, happy, I think it kind of really woke some people up. And Kelly and I have gotten messages from a lot of people that, hey, I'm going to take what Reese said in one of his notes, because Reese left a note to the Steilacoom baseball team, and he said, do what I couldn't do and get help. And a lot of people have taken that message and have gotten themselves help. So that's one of the things that helps us, is when we hear that, you know, it's not in vain. It's, you know, we didn't want to lose our son at all, you know. But growing up, Kelly and I knew Reese was going to be, we knew he was going to change lives and make a difference. I remember asking him when he was like 8, 9 years old, I said, what do you want to do when you grow up? And his answer was always, I don't know, I just want to help people.
At 8 years of age?
Yeah.
As I listened to you talk, and it's been about 1.5 years then?
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself still to be parents, but in a very different way?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, definitely still parents, and I feel like I have about at least 100 kids now, because I worry about all of them so much, and I just want them to be okay.
Yeah, I understand what Kelly's saying, because you know, you start reading the statistics and stuff, and I mean, I'm a baseball coach at Steilacoom and baseball coach at New Level, and I got to do some talks at Pierce. That's where Reese was going to go to school. And you go out there and you look at these kids, and all you see is Reese Widmans. You know, I mean, the alpha male, the tough guy, you know, I'll play through an injury, or you know, for my brothers, for my team.
Right.
And but statistically, you go out there, and I mean, on any given team, 4 of those kids are struggling with something. And then out of those 4, you know, 1 is going to self-medicate, 1 is going to attempt, the other one is probably going to white knuckle through this, and then one of them we may lose. And that's too many, you know. It's and every time I go to a baseball field, I sit there and I look, well, which one of those guys is hurting?
Exactly. We're going to discuss this in the next episode. So I'd like you to give just a quick summary of the program, and you're wearing the T-shirts.
Okay.
Give us just a quick summary, and then we're going to elaborate on that in the next conversation.
Yes. So one thing that Reese told us was, help other people, make sure nobody else hurts themselves, help people. So we thought, well, how can we do that? And so Reese's nickname on the baseball field is Witty. And so we thought, what an appropriate name to give our nonprofit, Witty's Work, because we're doing his work. We're Reese's voice. We are helping other people be Reese's voice. So we have, our nonprofit does different events, different speaking events where we go and I've talked to groups of nurses to talk about screening people for suicide risk, the importance of that. Corey's done speaking events.
Yeah, baseball teams and stuff. A lot of these kids, they physically hurt themselves, they go to a doctor. They get sick, they go to a doctor. But when they're not feeling good on the inside, like I said, it's just one of those things where I don't want to be perceived as weak, and so we created this in his memory to get his message out for high school, college athletes that are struggling. The reception to this has been great. I mean, we obviously would love, more outreach events, but we have a lot coming up, and hopefully we make a difference in someone's life,
And it's obvious there's so much more for us to talk about, both the outreach that you're doing, Witty's Work, and then the larger issue. And we're going to continue this conversation, and I thank you for being willing to stick around, talk with me some more, and we hope that you'll join us again on the next episode of Challenge 2.0 as we delve a little bit further into this topic. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you next week.